the foundation of the culture and the belief system of the Yoruba people indigenous spirituality is within the confinement of the philosophy of Ifa, which is based on the monotheistic belief in Oludumare and Olorun, but they also believe that the one he has sent to reveal Oludumare is Ifa itself, also known as Orunmila, which they believe is a deity for wisdom and intellectual development.
How did we come here? That is a question that is common across different religions, because later, of course, we'll be talking about comparison. What would be your explanation using Ifa theology as the origin of humanity?
Yes, my brother, the truth of the matter is that even the Ifa religion has been colonized itself. How? By Western materialistic education philosophy. Good evening. My name is Oluwafemi Esan. I'm a professor of transpersonal psychology, which also simply means psychology of spirituality. And not only that, I've been a consultant in transpersonal mental health, which is mental health through spirituality. And I'm also a consultant in teacher training and development. I'm currently the founder of Elroy London Academy and Elroy London University that received the degree awarding power from the Kingdom of Hawaii Royal Accreditation Commission in Honolulu, Hawaii, Korak. And my interest in today's topic happen to be I spent more than a decade of research into psychology of spirituality. My background, I'm also an ordained reverend, and I'm also a consultant in biblical spirituality and mental health. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, sir. That is really, really so interesting for me as a conversation. Of course, as long as we're talking about our belief system, is something that we'll always appreciate to learn from. So today we have the privilege of learning from you as we talk about the theology, Ifa theology, and African spirituality. Now, why don't we start like this? What are the bases of Ifa theology? Let's start from there.
Yes. So the word Ifa refers to the mystical figure Orunmila, regarded by the Yorubas as the deity of wisdom and intellectual development. So that is Ifa or Orunmila. Is the deity of wisdom and intellectual development. Yes, that is my academic way of defining Ifa.
All right. In terms of the theology, which is now the Ifa theology, what would be a kind of a description of that?
Okay, so the Ifa theology is a monotheistic theology, which simply believe, as an elaborate hierarchical of deities. Now, each with special duties and functions. Now, the Ifa theology believes in a supreme but remote spirit known as Olodumare, also known as Olorun, the Lord of heaven and the Creator. So that is Ifa theology. Believes in Olodumare. It believes in Olorun, which is the Lord of heaven and the Creator. And that is, the Ifa theology in a nutshell. Is a monotheistic religion.
All right. Now, a kind of a personal question. Why are you interested in theology? What is interesting for you in studying? Because now you have spent more than 10 years in theology. Of course, things related to this area. So what is interesting for you in it? What is your motivation?
Okay. My motivation, like I said, I'm an ordained Pentecostal priest. And in the last 10 years, I started my journey into psychology of spirituality. I can trace back my experience and my interest in spirituality from the age of 11 when I had a spiritual encounter at that tender age within the confinement of what I called the mystical spiritual experience known within the Pentecostal theology as the baptism of the Holy Spirit. So my interest in spirituality is purely experiential and not theoretical.
Now, you did also mention Olodumare. Now, for somebody who is trying to understand the origin of Ifa theology, the studying of it, what would you say are the origin of the theology itself of Ifa?
Yes, so when you talk about the origin of Ifa theology, you know, uh, it is our own indigenous Yoruba religious education. You see that? And so it is identical with the indigenous spirituality of the Yoruba people. And so that is the foundation of the culture and the belief system of the Yoruba people indigenous spirituality is within the confinement of the philosophy of Ifa, which is based on the monotheistic belief in Olodumare and Olorun. But they also believe that the one he has sent to reveal Olodumare is Ifa itself, also known as Orunmila, which they believe is a deity for wisdom and intellectual development.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Now, in terms of maybe somebody could be asking such a question as how did we come here? Now, I'm a Yoruba person. Imagine I'm a Yoruba person. Of course, I'm not even too far away from Yoruba because I'm Esan, which is Edo State. And if we take the line down, I will see that there is a line where we cross all of us together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
now, how did we come here? That is a question that is common across different religions because later, of course, we'll be talking about comparison. What would be your explanation using Ifa theology as the origin of humanity?
Yes, and according to the Ifa philosophy of life, in West Africa, Orunmila, a sage, was born in 500 BC and considered to be the most important figure in the Ifa philosophical tradition, and taught that Iwa, the living virtues of life, is the most important ideal worth of living. And what matters most is good character, and that rings bell within the teaching of Orunmila. And so you can see that it is traceable to the 500 BC. That is how historical theology of Ifa origin.
That is where Ifa itself was born, right? Okay. What about humanity as a species, as a, like, in every form of belief system, whether you are looking at um, the Judeo-Christian explanation, you usually will go to the Genesis, for example. God is already in existence by this time, but everywhere is dark. There is no human being at this time. Now, until God make a pronouncement, of course, you are a reverend, you understand what I'm talking about. Until God make a pronouncement that let there be light, then there was light. Then from there, everything continued to be. No. Now, if you use Ifa theology, how do you explain this beginning, this origin?
So, thank you so much for that question. According to Ifa theology, Ifa concept of creation, which is a cosmology, is a study of the structure of the universe, which attempt to discover the principle of unity that sustains creation. Now, the cosmology of Ifa is based on the belief that the microsome, that is the immediate environment, is a reflection of the macrosome, the universe. So Ifa is a creationist religion that believes that Olodumare, Olorun, in eternity, created the universe. So that is Ifa theology of creation. It's a creationist religion, just like the three Abrahamic religion, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. There are four of them. They are creationist, monotheistic religion.
Olodumare created the universe. Okay, I
Yes.
know this is a hard question that I'm asking now because, okay, we still need to have limit to what kind of question that we can ask in the sense of we are curious, but if we keep our curiosity inside of our mind, we will
Mm,
never be able to explore that. But if we ask, the more we ask, the more we know sometimes. Then, of course, we also have limitations to what we can know.
mm.
Now, say maybe, for example, somebody is asking the question like a child, why did why did Olodumare decide to create the universe? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, your question is an interesting question. And so, uh, to answer that question from the philosophy of Ifa, uh which also has a parallel comparative narrative in the Abrahamic religion. So, Olodumare, which is the supreme being, is the ultimate reality, created the universe by himself and of himself. And he created the universe based on purpose, because one of the elements of Olodumare is that he does things based on purpose.
What is this purpose? Are we able to know that?
It is quite interesting. Uh, because I'm really excited your question, because the concept of purpose from Ifa theology is also found in the three Abrahamic religion. You know, the biblical theology made us to understand that in eternity, in the beginning, which also is supported by the Ifa narrative, that Oludumare, which is God, uh, the Yahweh in the Judaism, created the universe because he's a God of purpose. So the principle of purpose is inherent in his actions. He does things by purpose, for purpose. And so the universe itself, the both visible and the invisible universe, has a purpose. Now, when it comes to the anthropology of man, according to Olodumare and according to the biblical and Judaistic and Islam theology, man is the apex of his creation, and he created man for a purpose.
You said he created man for its purpose or for his purpose. Could you clarify that?
For his purpose. He has a purpose for man. Now, in both the three Abrahamic religion and Ifa theology, Olodumare is the supreme creator and is a spiritual being. Okay. And he created man as a spirit, and that is true essence of man. And in a spiritual ontological foundation, spirit has no gender. That's it. And this is also supported by the Christian and the Judaistic philosophy that says there is neither male nor female in Christ Jesus. You see that? So spirit has no gender. So our true identity is a spirit, because we are all sons of Eledumare. And when you look at it in the Torah, it said, "Ye are God and the children of the Most High God."
Maybe we might stress that line a little bit more for clarity purpose.
Mhm.
Are you saying that the word he, which is He and sometimes Him,
Mhm.
was not used in the Bible to describe God? If it was used, did that indicate gender or did it not?
Yeah, see, when you are talking about now the anthropology, the anthropology, the creation of man, both the Ifa theology and the three Abrahamic theology, they all agree in the sense that man has a dual origin. Okay, the real essence of man is a spirit, but when it comes to the manifestation of his physical identity, there is gender. But the spiritual man in each one of us is purely a neutral spirit, but we live in a gender body. That's it.
I will leave that there because that would need some explanation, but so that we don't stray away from Ifa theology, which is the conversation of the day. I would like you to make me a comparison between infant theology and the Judeo-Christian theology. Are there some comparison that we can make there?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. So, as we say that Ifa theology, if you look at it, for example, uh, um, the Yoruba Ifa theology believe in destiny. And like I said to you in our last interview, my research in psychology of spirituality led me to to conduct a comparative analysis of the concept of destiny, which the four religions agree on the same concept. For example, Ifa theology believes that that man chooses his destiny while coming into the world. Man kneels down to choose his lot before the presence of God and Orunmila, and God sanctioned it. This concept of destiny is the same philosophy in Ifa theology and the three Abraham religion. So the concept of destiny and predestination is the same in the four religions.
There was one thing that was not very clear for me. Something like when man is coming to this world, he chose his destiny, and then God sanctioned that destiny. Was that what you said, or did I get that wrong?
Yes, that is the Ifa theology, and it's the same thing that you find in the three Abraham religion. Man chooses his destiny while coming into this world. Remember, I said to you in the last interview that in the Ifa traditional Yoruba culture, when a child is born on the 8th day, they consult the oracle to ask Orunmila that what has this boy, what has this girl come to do in this world? That is his destiny, his purpose. Yeah.
That is very interesting. I like that part very well. It's very, very interesting. So, this entity that is coming into life have picked a destiny, and when it comes to meet the people that he's going to meet, which are we can call the people, the family, the community, they're trying to find out what is this destiny. All right. Help me understand this. Before this individual come to be, this we actually sometimes be even self-explanatory because it's a spirit, so it's already have been before he became manifest into what it is today. I don't know if you want to expand on that a little bit more because I think it's very interesting.
Yes, see, one thing, last time we had a discussion, the last question you asked me concerning the decolonization of the curriculum, and you asked me what is my final thought on the African decolonization project, and I said our curriculum should be built on the ontology of spirituality because that is essential to the very fabric of our identity in the Africa, the first world. We know nobody taught us this. We don't need any missionary to teach us that. We know that we are spirit and we know we exist in a spiritual dimension. And that is the true nature of who we are.
All right. In fact, there was a question that I actually missed. That was before when you were talking about that have to do with the story of the creation, how we came to be. So we understand now that Olodumare created the universe and he also created a human being, right? Is that correct? Okay. Now, there you made mention of creating human being for a purpose.
Yes.
So the question I actually missed there that I need your clarification on is when you say created man for purpose,
yes,
is it for the purpose of God, in this case, Olodumare, or for the purpose of man who is going to execute that, whatever is it that is the project? Help me understand that.
So, I said Olodumare, which is Jehovah, Allah, depending on your religion. And like the Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, Ifa is monotheistic, or its supreme creative figure Olodumare is the creator. When he created man in eternity, he created man with a purpose. And that purpose is the predestiny of that man. What that entails is that you can only find your sense of meaning in the discovery of your personal purpose from Olodumare.
Now, can we say something to the effect that Olodumare created man for his own pleasure? Like you design a project, you decide how you want to write it, you write the project for yourself, which in this case can be maybe, for example, you create a computer program because you want to be able to execute a particular task. For this reason, you created that program. And a program, an example of it could be like a Microsoft Word that you use to be able to write. So you didn't create the Microsoft Word for the Microsoft Word. You create Microsoft Word because you want to write with it. The Microsoft Word, therefore, is serving you as a creator.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this can be like any other program out there
Mm-hmm.
that we use looking at the computer, for example. Is that how we are seeing Olodumare, human being, or something different from that?
Yes, interestingly, according to Ifa theology and also in the three Abrahamic religion, God has a plan, a path, and a purpose for each of our lives. This leads us to our destiny. He also has a process to get us ready for that destiny. The four monotheistic religions believe in this.
Mm. I would like you to expand more on that.
Okay.
In that, are we like a kind of a simulation or something similar?
I will let you know that they also in the philosophy of creation and in the anthropology of man, according to the four religion, man is a tripartite being. What do I mean by that? Man is a spirit, he has a soul, and he lives in a body. But watch this. Within the soul, there are three elements that made up the soul: the mind, the emotion, and the will. Now, the will, which in social psychology, the will is your ability to make independent choices. So you are not a robot. You have the power of choice, and each choice you make in life leads you to a destination. So man has the ability to make choice. So man can even choose outside the purpose of Olodumare for his life. So the fact that Olodumare has a destiny for you, it is not automatic. You still have to choose your chosen destiny.
That is very interesting now. All right. So there is a difference between what we could describe, maybe like a matrix, for example, for those who watch the film, like a simulation or a program that is designed. That program is not responding for itself. It responded towards or to the creator of the program. So we are able to even make our own choices. We
Yes.
can be really very interesting now. All right. But if we make our own choices, we
Mm-hmm.
fall out of the plan of Olodumare, which of
Mm-hmm.
course in other religion can be God. Or I want to believe that there is a master plan. This was supposed to be what is going to happen. If we fall out of that plan, where is that destination going? Where are we going there? Is that I don't understand that part. Can you explain it more?
Thank you for this very vital question. I mean, it may interest you to ask me what is my goal in this research as a reverend?
Yes,
I
please.
said, I said to you in the last interview that uh, the outcome of my first doctoral research uh, was to explore the perception of coaching by Pentecostal Christians and how coaching can be used as a tool for spiritual development. Now, in that research, I begin to dabble into the concept of purpose and meaning. And that led me to look at the psychology of purpose and fulfillment. I discover that there's a difference between a successful career and a sense of meaning and purpose, which is tied to our mental health and our emotional well-being. So when a man chooses outside his destiny, he will have the experience of not being fulfilled in life. If you pick 10 people, it is said that 1 out of 10 will fulfill their purpose on this planet. And this is tied down to their mental health, the psychology of fulfillment. How do you become fulfilled? Look at the increase in depression in our world today. Why are we having material comfort, yet people are not fulfilled? That's my question.
And of course, that invites also other people that are listening to us to sort of probe themselves too, to respond to the question, because here, we're not trying to spoon feed anybody. We're here to also add our contribution to the conversation so that it can go on. All right, in line with that, a part of the question, I'm sort of worried about it in that when we don't fall according to the master plan, which in this case, that is what Olodumare had in mind. What is the end goal of that individual, that entity that didn't fall according to the master plan? Because, for example, in Judeo-Christian or in Catholicism, for example, there is a judgment day. Like you went to school, you do whatever you have to do, then there is a judgment day. On the judgment day, you are either sent to heaven to be rejoicing or you are sent to hellfire. Okay, Catholics also have another thing, that is the purgatory, where you go for a kind of atonement, but actually you suffer there. You still suffer like hellfire, but at a point you move from purgatory to either heaven or hell. So that is the third place. Now, in the case of Olodumare or Ifa theology, how do you explain that part? Does it have something similar to that? In that now there is this individual who didn't fall according to the master plan. What is going to happen to him or her, or to it? Because now him or her will mean, because that individual is still living within the material world, which is either a male or a female. So help me understand the destiny or the final part of that journey.
So thank you so much. So Ifa believes in afterlife, okay? Ifa also believes in reincarnation. And according to Ifa theology, it believes that there are two ends of afterlife. One is called Orunrere, which is heaven, and the other is called Orun Apadi, which is hell, that you can find in both Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. So you see that? They all believe in that. But my quest is not even what happened after life. My quest is, why are we here in this life? And what can contribute to our psychology of fulfillment and our mental health? That is what I believe in mental health through spirituality. Why are we having an increased number of suicide and depression in our world today?
Well, that can be really very interesting right, to probe as a question. Now, I'm still interested in that journey, because I think there are different reasons why people want to understand this conversation. And one might be, if we're looking at it from the point of view of having a better life here, or for the point of view of the destination, which is we are going beyond this life, we are going beyond this journey. And I'm happy that you made mention of the reincarnation in Ifa theology, or in Ifa idea of life, which is something that is not in Christianity. Of course, I don't remember that, because If that was a Christianity, that would be contradictory to the judgment day, because there is a judgment day, which in many African tradition or in many African spirituality, I don't see that judgment day. Okay, tell me about the judgment day in Ifa tradition so that we can see how that line up with reincarnation.
Now, thank you. Yorubas do not see death as the end of life. It is believed that there is a transformation from one form of existence to another. They believe in an afterlife, which is a continuation of this life, but only in a different setting. And they also believe in heaven. According to Yoruba, when a person dies, their personality soul, which is their real human essence. Now, this is very important. I would love to dwell more on that later. This is the Yoruba belief, that your personality, your real essence, is your soul. And in transpersonal psychology, we call it solica spirituality, which simply means your soul is eternal. It doesn't die. Now, it's separated from their physical body. So life after birth is in Orun, heaven. And there are two sections of Orun: Orun Rere, good heaven; Orun Apadi, bad heaven.
Okay, thank you for those identification. But what happens there?
The problem is that we have not been able to collect enough data for someone that came back after that. So that's why I said to you that, it's like, there's eschatology in the Bible, biblical theology. I always say that you can be heavenly conscious and earthly useless. You see that? And that's why I'm very cautious when people dabble into mystical spirituality of the afterlife. My question is, the life you have now, what are you doing with that life?
While you are there, that is something that I really find very fascinating. And I think this is very common among many African spirituality or form of spirituality, is that there is this tendency of not saying that we know everything, that we don't know everything.
Yes.
But in some other brothers or sister religion like Islam or Christianity, there is the idea that we know everything. So I want to thank you for that also. Even though you didn't put it that way, but I understand what that means. Because we haven't died before. I have not died before. I don't know exactly what happened there. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome, sir.
For example, in Christianity, I know the question of hair is vividly explained. It's pictoriously described to the people so that people can really see it. And this has been very useful for those who want to be in charge of or controlling other people. Anyway, that is by the way. Now, tell me about the principles of Ifa theology. I want to believe that there are some principles or some key principles that are guiding it. I want to believe that it's not just anyhow. There are rules, there are way it functions. Tell me more about the key principle of Ifa theology.
Yeah, see, when you look at the Ifa theology, the very concept of destiny, it's one of the fundamental principles of Ifa theology, and that speaks volume when you look at the psychology of purpose and fulfillment. Now, the question here is that, does life has a meaning? Ifa theology and the three Abraham religion believes and teaches the concept of finding a sense of meaning in life through destiny. So Ifa says that Ori, which means literally your head, chooses your destiny. Then you come to this world, and that destiny is what brings you a sense of meaning and fulfillment, not in your career. If I goes to the fact that before you choose a career, ask your Eleda, ask your Ori, what you have been chosen in eternity before time. That not beautiful?
How do you make this communication, this connection? How do you ask those questions? And how do they get back to you in the form of a feedback or the message? Among Christian religion, particularly among the Pentecostal, you will hear something
Yes.
of a call, something like that, no?
Yes.
So yeah, tell me more about that.
Thank you. Now, both Ifa theology believes in the concept of eternal vocation, which the Judaistic, the Christianity and Islam, they call it vocational calling. And this is what I discover in the transpersonal philosophy of education. And this is the beauty of what we are discussing today. Eternal vocation or vocational calling. According to this religion, I mean, focusing on Ifa believe that your Ori kneels down before Oludumare and chooses your career in eternity before you got here. Is that not beautiful?
That is so beautiful. Another thing that is also very beautiful there, if you were to extend that conversation, is that now, because now I wanted to have a little journey in spirituality, even though that is actually where we are, because the way you explain Ifa theology, we can see that we are already there, which is different from the Abrahamic religion, actually. Of course, those are also forms of spirituality. Now, among the Igbo people, that is what they call the Chi. And I think that is what we are referring to as Olori. No, not Olori. That is
Ori.
another Ori. Okay, Ori.
Mm-hmm.
Among the Esan people, which is, okay, Esan people, I don't need to describe that. For the people that are listening, Esan is found in south of Nigeria, in a state that is called Edo. The form of Ori, in our place, we call Ehi. Ehi is in a person, of course, but you don't see Ehi. It's believed that it is the conductor of your destiny. That people can literally talk to your Ehi. So now we are deep in that sense. In that Ori or Ehi or Chi is a direct connection to your source. It knows better than you. There is this part of the human being that is always alive, even when we die. Because in our understanding as Esan people, your Ehi never dies. But you, as a human being, which is your body, and the experience you are making in this life, can die. So help us understand that a little bit. We are into African spirituality.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I will use the term indigenous spirituality so as to broaden the scope of this discussion, because when we're talking about spirituality, you cannot exclude spirituality from religion, okay? Because spirituality must have its rudiment from a psycho-spiritual philosophy that is based within a religion, okay? Now, Judaism is an indigenous religion of the Jewish people, okay? And Islam is also an indigenous religion. The three Abrahamic religion and Ifa theology is based in the tripartite nature of man. That is, man is a spirit. He has a soul. He lives in the body. Now, the spirit of man is eternal. And that is what also we believe in transpersonal psychology. So I will use the concept of transpersonal psychology to explain your question. What you are saying, the communication between Hehi, Ori, Eleda, which is your destiny, is what we call transpersonal communication with your higher self. You see that?
Yeah.
But the danger is that our colonized education philosophy completely ignore or lack a framework to accommodate spirituality as the essential part of who we are. You see that? Because that westernized philosophy of education is based on the ontology of materialism. That is, man is just mind and body. That's it. So you now even see that our indigenous African spirituality has also been eroded by this foreign invasion of the Western education philosophy. And that has left us to be completely in the dark of the most essential part of us that need to be educated, which is our spirit. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Now, when you were responding to the question that I asked before, you talk about soul and internal mission or purpose. Could you please say something more about that? Because I think it's not far away from the concept of Ori now.
Yes. So, the beautiful theology of that Ori is that in eternity. Now, let me can I share your story with you? This is a real life story. I was in medical school in 1997. So I went to Lagos to see my brother. And so I was playing with my brother's neighbor. Okay, watch this now. And this man is a traditional Ifa priest, and I didn't know. So he was just looking at me. Watch this. And when he was looking at me, I was a little bit, worried that why is he staring at me? And then he said to me, he said, "Brother, can I say something to you?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Do you know that you are going to travel abroad?" I said, "I don't know." And then the next thing he said to me, he said, "I'm a native doctor." Then I moved back. Then I moved back. Then he said, No. He said, "Don't run away from me." He said, "Brother, your traveling abroad is your predestination." Can you imagine that? 1997, sir. He said, "You will travel abroad in a time and a season in your life, and nobody in your family will help you. It will be sponsored by outsider." They now use the Ifa language. He said, "Akunleyo," that is predestination, that is Ori. He said, "That traveling abroad is my Akunleyo." And he said, he told me, he said, "There's no black magic juju that can cancel Akunleyo, predestination." I said, wow. This prophecy from the Ifa priest came to pass in the year 2005. Exactly word for word. I traveled to England with no penny from my family. Talk to me.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
Now, how does those information pass through? Where did it come from? And how are they able to access it?
Thank you. A brilliant question. I will come now from biblical theology. In 1985, I said in the last interview, at the age of 11, I had a spiritual encounter called the baptism of the Holy Spirit. Now, in the Judaistic and the Christian theology, and even in Islam, because Islam established the concept of Holy Spirit. In fact, in Islam, the Holy Spirit is known as the angel of his presence. Okay? So here is the concept. Ifa Olodumare is presence everywhere. That is the omnipresence. Okay? Is presence everywhere. The three religions believe in the same concept. However, his manifest presence cannot be felt everywhere. You get that? So his omnipresence is present everywhere, but his manifest presence cannot be felt everywhere. So how do I feel and communicate with his manifest presence? And that's where the concept of the Holy Spirit comes in now. So the Holy Spirit is the spirit of Olorun Eledumare, Yahweh, Allah, that we're talking about. His manifest presence is the Holy Spirit.
All right. Could you expand more on that manifestation? I'm asking that because one time I was interviewing another expert on African religion like you. In fact, we have done a number of episodes because I believe that we are essentially here for a service. We are here to render a service to a people, those who know the value of what we are doing here. That is what we are essentially doing.
Mhm.
So we are bringing in different people to share. So one time he was telling me, of course, making a comparison between Western understanding of life and the African understanding of life, which was actually in 100% in agreement with what you are saying, that life for Africa or based on African spirituality is not material,
Yes.
it's spirit
Yes.
that can also have material manifestation. And they were saying it's not from Nigeria anyway, it's from Congo. And then of course it make a good comparison between ancient Congo religion, ancient Egyptian religion, the Kemet religion, and the Congo religion and Bukongo. Now it was telling me now everything that can be is already here. There is nothing that can happen that is not already available. All that just need to happen is to manifest it. That is to take it from the potential existence to the actual existence, which is the manifestation.
Thank you.
Please, could you speak more on that? Because you made mention of manifestation. I think somebody might need to learn more about that. Thank you, sir.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. Because that is the essence of transpersonal education philosophy. In Ifa theology, they have a concept of destiny, Ori, Ei, Eleda, spirit man, higher self, all these are the same. Now, the Ifa now went further. They have a concept called Ori Inu. The Ifa concept, that is the Ifa concept of the inner self. Wow, this is beautiful now. Watch this. Your true essence is your inner self. Okay? Now, Ori is the mystery of consciousness. Ori Inu is a mystery within a mystery. It is the invisible self within the self. Do you see that? The invisible self within what? The self. And that is what we call the transpersonal self in transpersonal psychology. So the invisible self within the self, okay, is what the world is waiting for to manifest. And that is what gives you fulfillment and a sense of meaning in life. Because that invisible self within yourself was sent by Olodumare to this world to deliver a solution for humanity. That's
beautiful. Beautiful. Now we talk of the concept of the mission of discovering who you are, what you are supposed to do. When you now know what you are supposed to do, is it possible that you can also have obstacles working against you?
Absolutely.
If that is the case, how do you grow up to overcome those obstacles?
Yes. Now, the Yorubas, and I mean, it will interest you. I'm making reference to Yoruba, and I'm a Pentecostal priest because I love, because I've seen parallel concept in the Pentecostal theology as well. Now, the Yoruba believe that Akunleyon ni adayeba. What does it mean? Akunleyon is your ori, your predestination. Okay. The Yoruba also bring in another word called kadara. Now, kadara is the problem that you are born into. You see that? So you chose your destiny by Eledumare, by Ori, in eternity past, but you are born into a family. into an environment, and that's where you experience your kadara. That is the problem you experience. However, the beautiful thing about purpose by Eledumare or God is that your purpose is more powerful than your problem.
Now, how do you learn about Ifa theology? Is it something that you need to go to school to learn? Or is it something that people among Yoruba generally have access to as a way of life?
Again, you are taking us back to the colonization of our education. You may ask me, how come I know all this? Now, I was born into a strict Christian religious background. And when my family member will be hearing this interview, they will come and ask me, what have you been doing with Ifa? and then also my fellow Pentecostals will say, what is this guy doing with Ifa? He called himself a reverend. Now, what led me to this is my study of transpersonal psychology. So in my research and my study, I have to look at spirituality from various religions. So I focused on spirituality from the three Abrahamic religions and then my own indigenous Yoruba Ifa religion. And so I have to do some research, some reading up, and then look at the comparative analysis, and also based on the narrative and the storytelling from my mom, my grandma, And so that's how I came across this. It was a purely academic research and study for me.
Thank you so much for that. That is very important, particularly for Africans and also for Africans in the diaspora. Why it is important is that many people, even though this is actually a way of life, like I do say here quite often, that our education are education for life.
Yes.
And also our spirituality are experiences for life. You don't do this just for a few days and then you forget it. Because they are for life, there is no need for a classroom. Because you don't live in the classroom, you live in your real life. Anyway, what I would like to say there is that what is the best way to make sure that people have access to this information? Because this was supposed to be their birthright. I mean, Africans, Yoruba people, because we are using Yoruba as a reference. It was supposed to be their information by birth. Now, they don't have access to it anymore. And we know why. What can we do about that?
Can I say, it's not a question of they don't have access to it. Because how come I was able to have access to this? I studied it and it's free. It's free. It's there on Google. Just go to Google Scholar, go to Google Ifa Theology. You will see loads of articles. Sir, it's a question of interest. And these are the traumatic effect of colonization. Colonization erode your indigenous identity. That's it. So we now live in a postmodern world that does not elevate indigenous way of knowing. That's it. We have been dominated by the scientific Cartesian way of knowing. And then our traditional indigenous spirituality has been looked down upon. So it is available, but the interest has been eroded. It is part of the trauma of colonization.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that clarification. That not that they are not accessible, they are actually accessible. That we need to develop an interest. And I like what you were saying before, that in life there are challenges, there are problems, but your destiny is bigger than your problem.
Thank you.
Your mission is bigger than your problem, and we need to know that. We need to know that is the way it is. All right, I want you to share your personal experience with me.
Okay.
When you first heard, or when you first realized that you wanted to learn about Ifa, knowing that you are a Christian or of a Christian denomination, what first came to your mind, and what did you do to be able to gather the information that you needed to back up what you wanted to do?
Yeah. So I told you the turning point for me was the meeting of the Ifa priest in 1997. at Ikotunigbe, Lagos State. And he gave me a prophecy that came to pass in 2005, word for word. After prophecy that was given to me in 1997, more than 10 different prophets in the Pentecostal circle gave the same prophecy to me. How come the two of them are giving me the same prophecy? Does that not tell you that it's from the same source?
Now, you are touching something that I found very interesting, and I'm going to put the question to you like that. This is
Please go
it.
ahead.
Of course, because I interview a lot of people, I'm beginning to sort of steal knowledge from here and there. No? I think that is one of the things I'm getting here.
Mhm.
So I was interviewing an expert on African spirituality. This is a different person. So we're talking about, actually, that was when I was doing a documentary about the violence that was taking place in Jos. It was a documentary that I titled Murder in the Name of God. So I was asking African people, how could we be doing this to ourselves? Looking at what's happening in Jos, Nigeria, where people were being slaughtered because they belong to a different denomination.
Mm.
So I was interviewing this expert who told me something to the effect of, by African traditional religion or African spirituality, we don't conflict with people. If you have a different religion, for us it's not a problem.
Mhm.
That made me even remember something then and also now. When I was at home in Nigeria, I was a very strong Catholic church member. Then there was a Reverend Father. His name is Father Omesa. He would say to the Uromi people, because Esan people are very strong Christians, but they also have a good understanding of their spiritual system. And this is what they do, many of them at the time. They go to the church, but they'll still go to meet the native daughter if they have to.
Mhm.
Now, other people will be laughing at them, but you should believe in God and don't go to the native daughter or what they call them. So this Reverend Father, when he comes to the church, he will be ridiculing the church member, the Esan people. Esan, I'm with Befia. I'm with Befia. I'm with Befia would mean they are having a backup for their spiritual understanding. So he
Can I
was,
explain? Can I explain why is that to you, sir?
yeah, please go.
Okay. Now, we've been talking about Ifa theology. We're talking about African spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between religion and spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be religious and not spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
With due respect, the Asian people we're talking about, they find their spirituality outside the Catholic religion. That's what happened to them. I got you.
The guy I was interviewing, because you already explained that part, I don't need to go there. I was saying that you could be practicing voodoo and still read Bible if you want to. For you, it is not contradicting. They are talking about God. That is, they are talking about different way of connecting to God. Just like, for example, the Ifa priest told you something which were confirmed by other people that have a different way of understanding God. It is not a contradiction. So I wanted to talk more about that in the sense of how are we able to reconcile people that might have different way of knowing God. Say, for example, you are a Muslim, the other one is a Christian. From an African point of view, should that be a problem? I mean, are we able to live together even if you don't believe the same thing in terms of the God we serve?
Yes, my brother, the truth of the matter is that even the Ifa religion has been colonized itself. How? By Western materialistic education philosophy. You see that? So the religion is suffering from spiritual materialism, whereby our religion is now based on ritualistic practices, excluding the inner spirituality. And that's the problem we have with religion. So you will see people more committed to their ritualistic, authoritarian spirituality than connecting with their ori inu, which is their inner self. The cause of that is the Western education philosophy that is based on materialism. You see that? It's based on materialism. Everything is after the material self because we operate in the dimension of the embodied material self. And so our pursuit, our ambition is materialistic. That's what is happening.
Can anything be done about that to sort of recover this value system? Today, I wrote an article where I talked about African value system. Can we do something to recover that?
Absolutely. I said in the last interview that there are two goals for the decolonization agenda. Number one, spiritual emancipation. Number two, intellectual emancipation. That's it. Spiritual emancipation is to experience spirituality outside religion. The religion can come as a prerequisite to encounter spirituality outside your religion. But the problem with us in the third world is that we are materialistic and we are religious. And so we need an emancipation from that mindset. And it goes back to what? Your discovery of your orinu, the invisible self, also known as the higher self. And that is the goal of transpersonal philosophy of education.
I want to go back a little bit to reincarnation. Because when we're on that argument, you didn't clarify for me how that process works. I don't know if you want to say something more about that before we move on.
Reincarnation.
Yeah. How does it work?
Yes. The Ifa theology believes in reincarnation, but the Christians and the Abrahamic religion have a different take on that. You see that? They have a different take on that. Because after death, there is judgment, and that is the three Abrahamic religion. But if I bring the concept of reincarnation to personal experience, if I may share with you, I can say to you, as I'm talking to you, before I was born, and my mom is still alive, which I can give you a number, you can confirm what I'm about to share with you. Before I was born, my mother had a baby girl. Her name was Buki. She died after the age of 2. And in 1972, while my mother was preparing to open her eatery early morning, a white garment priest came to her and told her that she lost a child. And she said, yes, you are right. And the white garment prophetess told my mom to go to the mountain and ask God for a child, and God wants to give my mother a child. That was the story behind my birth. So my mother told my late father, they all agree. She left her work for 7 days. She was on the mountain. What's this? She said to me, on the 7th day, the prophet of the mountain came and prayed for her and told her she's going to have a son and who is going to be a prophet and he will live among white people. That was in 1972. I was born the following year. Sir, when I was born, I came back with a birthmark in the right side of my belly. The same birthmark, the same size, the same color on the late Buki, my sister. How do you explain that?
How much is the idea of reincarnation among the Yoruban people?
It's a very strong. So we have names like Baba Tunde. Baba means father. Tunde, appear again. The father has appeared again. Iyabode, Iyabo, Iya means mother. Mother came back again. So you see those names in Yoruba language. And what happens is that you see a child that looks so much like the grandmother, or she's born maybe just after the grandmother died. You see that? So the Yoruba believe, oh, the grandmother, Iyabodi, Iyabo, Mama, mom that has come back again. But scientifically, it is proven that 50% of our genes are from our grandparents. So you can see why most of us look like our grandparents.
How do you manage to reconcile this to maybe our fellow Christians who might find it difficult to, not you, you don't have problem reconciling it, but for fellow Christians who might have challenges reconciling this understanding, what would you say to them?
Yeah, it's a sad reality that Christianity has become a religion and people are practicing authoritarian spirituality that is based on hierarchical structure. The sad reality continues that people don't know God for themselves. They now depend on prophets, on pastors, on priests. And so the sense of destiny, the sense of discovering your personal purpose from Eledumare, from Jehovah, is missing. And that's why today we are having an increase in suicide and depression among Christians. Because a lot of Christians have not had the personal encounter with the person of the Holy Spirit, that is the manifest presence. That's it. Anytime you have this personal encounter with the person of the Holy Spirit, the manifest presence of Oludumare, you will discover. You know what I always say? Whenever you meet Eledumare, he will always introduce you to you.
This is why sometimes I say that not all people that are just shouting in the church, Jesus, 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 that are really spiritual in the true sense of it. Because most of this regimentized religion, they don't lead people to themselves. That is what really should have happened in that you will find yourself. But instead, like you have said, we find people who command us all the time, who tell you, I say to you, I say to you. They don't really give you the road to be able to find who you are. You are supposed to discover yourself because you have a mission here.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, there's another important conversation that I think we can also look into, which is very popular among the Abrahamic religion, particularly Christianity. I'm talking of evil spirit or the devil, as you like. Maybe both of them can actually relate. How do you explain the idea of evil spirit in Ifa theology?
Of course, Ifa theology believe in Eshu. Eshu. So Eshu is what is called Asitani in the Islamic world there. And then we call it Lucifer, Satan. Yes. And that is, yes. So all the four religions establish the concept of evil. And may I even say, in mental health, one of the greatest limitations of the Eurocentric medical model of psychiatric medicine is that they don't have any framework to explain evil as a force that affects mental health. Don't get me wrong, not all mental health are evil spirits, okay? However, there is an extreme. For example, suicide is by spirit of death. Mass murder is by the spirit of death. That's it. You cannot explain what will make a guy to pick up a gun and go straight to a nursery and start killing innocent children, sir. There is no Eurocentric psychological framework to explain that. That is purely evil, operating through the embodiment of that individual.
Tell me about the devil itself, because some of these things clearly explained, they are graphically explained too in books like the Bible, or maybe in Christian doctrine, as it were. How do you explain? Okay, now you have talked about evil, as it were, no?
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about I think you said Eshu. That is what you call devil in Ifa theology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can you explain more about that? Where is it coming from?
Yeah, yes. It is from, if you look at the three Abrahamic religion, which they all agree that the devil is a fallen angel, and Ifa also believe is also a messenger. And do you know it is also in the Bible? He said, "I create evil, I create good. They are instrument in my hand." Ifa also subscribe to that philosophy that the devil is a messenger and is on this planet in the realm of the spirit to tempt humans by putting doubt in the mind of human against Elidumari concept, Elidumari power, to make you doubt yourself and doubt the God that you are serving.
All right. So God is the one that created. Okay, Eledumare, because let's be specific, is the one that created the devil, right?
Yes.
And he gave the devil the mission, right?
No, the devil pick up the mission.
From where?
In heaven.
But who put the mission there?
Is the first creation of Elidumari to commit treason without a tempter. And it's clearly explained in the Bible. He said, "You arise to the northern side and be like the Most High God." And in the book of Revelation, he said there was a great war in heaven. In the market for the dragon, he was able to convince 1/3 of the angel to fight God. And then he was thrown down to this planet Earth in a furious way. And that's what Yoruba called Eshulaolu Ogiri Olopo. It's always wondering about. It is also written in the Bible. So you can see this parallel in Ifa and the Bible. It tells you it's from the same source.
All right. Now, I want to get that part clear. Is that a translation of the biblical explanation of the devil, or is that the way that it is explained in Ifa religion, only that by coincidence it relates to the Bible?
It's not a it's the same entity. Eshu. Yeah. It's evil. The four of them, the four religions establish the concept of the reality of Eshu that move people to do bad things. You see that? Through inspiring them, putting thought in the mind of people.
Now, the way that the devil was explained in the Bible, that he was a good angel, and he rebelled against God. Then, from that moment, he became a bad angel. Is that how it was explained in Ifa theology? Could you expand on that?
Using Ifa theology believes that one of the deity of Olodumare is Eshu. You see that? One of the deity of Olodumare is Eshu, and is attributed with wrongdoing, with evil doing. That's it. The same concept is also in the three Abraham religion.
Do we understand? Okay, again, I understand the fact that in African spirituality, generally we don't pretend to know everything. So it is fine if there are something we don't know, because we are not supposed to know everything. But for the sake of the argument, in case maybe you want to respond to that, is it possible that Elodumare could have put an end to Eshu, or the devil as it were, but he still decided to keep it alive for the purpose of his mission, like you quoted before? The good and the bad are their serving mission. Is it possible that there could have been an end to the issue, therefore there would not be issue anymore? Did Elodumare have the power to do that?
The question is very mysterious, because we cannot go back to Elodumare to ask him. Those are mystical, ideologies that we cannot explain. But the fact remains that it exists. In fact, Eshu, do you know what they call it in Yoruba? Is a trickster deity. Trickster deity. Eshu is the spirit of crossroad. Look at where it's always a crossroads, threshold of homes, market, or garden places. It's a tricker of destiny. It's a tricker deity. It will trick you out of your destiny. And it's exactly what the Bible and the three Abraham religion teaches about him. It's the same. So you are seeing similarities.
I appreciate the conversation. We spent a lot of time today talking about spirituality and, of course, looking at Ifa theology. Now, somebody that want to learn more about, or maybe that want to get started to learn about Ifa theology, where do you recommend this individual should start from?
Like I said, it's just the interest. There are a lot of free literatures there, articles there on Google Scholar, on Google, that you can look into. But I would say it is not just to study this, it's to look for an experiential encounter with Olodumare. And you don't need a priest. You don't need a ritualistic system to contact Olodumare. Right where you are, you have a direct link to Olodumare. Like I said to you, the Western education and exposure to the colonized theology, colonized philosophy of education, has made us African, especially Yorubas, to reduce our spirituality based on Ifa theology to what I call outdated way of life. Yeah. And it's a sad reality. And why is that? I'll give you an example. One of the criticism against our African spirituality is that it has not brought us intellectual spirituality and growth. And that's one of the major criticism. It is identify with evil things, juju, black magic. This is what has clouded the beauty of the Ifa theology.
Okay, now that is an interesting part, no? That is an interesting observation about the Ifa theology. That is what people also think about voodoo. Mm-hmm. In this podcast, I've interviewed the world head of voodoo. It's in Benin, because they were doing an event, so I managed to have access to interview him. Anyway, that is probably by the way. Because it depends from what lens are we looking at reality. That might be what it is. But in a regular day, how is Ifa? Is it like organized market days or Sunday or Saturday? Are there ceremony? Are there events? How do people become Ifa worshippers? Something like that.
Yes, I mean it's an established religion, ancient religion. 500 BC, tracing its origin. And it's also a global religion, wherever you see Yoruba people. So yeah, people still practice it, But like I said, the postmodern lens, is a dominant reductionist approach to the traditional religion of Ifa. So yeah, and that's what is really happening. And why is that? Because the criticism that arose is the fact that despite the fact of this indigenous spirituality, why are we not experiencing technological advancement? Why are we not experiencing economic emancipation in view of the so-called power we attributed to our indigenous spirituality? That is the criticism.
And when they made that criticism to you, what do you say?
Yeah, my response is the same reason why Nigerians, we have the highest number of Christian churches in Nigeria, and yet we are one of the poorest nations in the world.
So it have nothing to do with the religion that you are practicing. Is that what you're saying?
It has to do with that. You know why? Religion leads to dogmatism. Religion conditions your thinking, and that is the psychology of religion. When you are exposed to any religious doctrinal teaching, it conditions your thinking. The same way to the Christian religion, the same way Islamic religion, all the Judaism, what they do, the psychology of it is that once a doctrinal error is being taught, it goes down to your psyche, into your subconscious, and it becomes a belief system that controls your life. That is the danger.
But how can people then move forward with this danger being preached to them every day? Every in Nigeria, every corner that you go, there are not just one, there are dozens of churches everywhere. We are basically manufacturing it. So how do we move forward like this?
Let me tell you why is that proliferation is on the increase. Because religion, as Karl Marx says, is the opium of the people. It's a form of escapism from the reality of our condition. It produces escapist mentality, focusing on afterlife and becoming non-productive. And what religion has done to us in Africa, it has conditioned our thinking to be consumer, not producers.
I remember you did say something to the effect of the solution. Could you please reinforce that as we move towards the concluding part of this conversation? How do we get out of here? How do we get out of this?
And that is why we need spiritual emancipation. That's it. That will now make you to question the authoritarian spirituality in your religion. And that's why I go back to the question of Ori Inu, my inner self. The discovery of my inner self is the way forward. Don't forget, I said it earlier on, your identity controls your mentality, and your mentality influences your ability. So your identity is your Ori Inu, your spiritual self. When you have that personal discovery, you'll be able to break from the limitation of religious mentality.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate the time. The last question for you is this. What do you see as the best part of Ifa theology and why people should pay attention? That is the concluding part.
Thank you. The concept of destiny, Ori and Yomo, you can be educated outside your destiny, and that will lead to depression, and you will not experience fulfillment. To find a sense of meaning, both Ifa, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, the concept of destiny and vocational calling is the most important concept in the religious education philosophy that we need in this day and age, so that our people can be liberated. And then you can come and manifest your Ori Inu, what Eledumare has sent you to deliver to humanity, what we call the principle of self-manifestation. Because the highest beauty of life is to manifest yourself.
Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the sharing.